my head around what 10% would be, or whatever percent, that we would recommend. How much, I guess what I'm concerned is I don't want the school to look like a NASCAR race car,
right?
With plastered full all kinds of advertisements. But yeah, I'm trying to think of what 10% actually would be. How, looks like 8 panels. It looked, boards per ad period. What's a board? Is that these examples? Is that a board? And there'd be 8. These, the examples of plastered on the lockers.
On these.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I would think that would be a board, but maybe you only do it on one set of lockers. Like if you have 10 lockers, if you're only going to do 10%, you're only going to put it on one set of lockers. You're not going to put on, if it's 50%, you're going to do 5 lockers. But I mean, if you just walk down and look at how many lockers we have, I haven't gone and counted them. The person really would be Ken Smith to find out have him walk around the building and look at what is considered 10% of that building and where they would put it. That was, my thought was I'm going to get Ken involved and have him actually say, okay, here's a good place for one right there.
Right.
Because I don't want to make it any more difficult for him to do any cleaning, because I asked him one time about if they put it on the floor, will that create a cleaning issue? And he didn't feel it would at that time, that it would be a cleaning issue. So
I'm guessing one of Ken's questions is going to be who puts it on?
They do.
They come out from Minneapolis to put it on, or they contract locally?
They probably contract someone to do it. I mean, I didn't ask him that, but the way it sounded was once they got the contract, they did it all because they don't want their product to look bad on the wall,
right,
or on the lockers.
Yeah, I guess the only other, just from the conceptual point, how it would look is, kids are going to be kids. High school kids, middle school kids are going to be kids. They're going to scribble on it. They're going to peel them off, or what happens then?
With maintenance of them, you mean?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to, like you said, be concerned about if it impacts us anyway. The kids, because of course you could try to explain to the kids the benefit of it and how it will affect them positively, but you're still going to get some of those kids are just going to see it as an opportunity to
graffiti,
whatever, yes, to face them in some way.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't have a problem with it.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a problem or an issue or concern, Connor, about putting advertisements in the school?
I don't have a problem with this type of advertising. It's much different than Channel 1. I don't have a problem with it. The type of benefits that the district can reap are pretty impressive based on that number you said with the 5,000 student district. We're 3,800 or so, and it's not so any bit of money, extra rent we can get coming into the district, the better. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a very good idea, and I think that we should move forward with it.
Okay, well, I'll talk to Tony. I didn't know if you wanted me to present it to the entire board Monday, or do you want me to wait? And do you want to talk with Tony and next Revenue Enhancement Committee meeting, or do you feel strong enough that I should just kind of move forward, talk to Tony myself? And
well, I don't see why you shouldn't at least bring it to the board for Monday.
Okay.
Because then it's a much larger audience. They're going to get a lot different, a lot more questions.
Mm-hmm.
Something that we may have not thought of, and that way, if you have Tony come in or we talk to him, you have a full range of questions already prepared for them. These are some of the concerns. These are what we like. Whatever. That's my.
I agree with Mr. Wolf. I think it's better we get this to the board as soon as possible, because when these things start just staying in committee, like we had that issue with the foundation, the Education Foundation, they stay in here forever and ever and ever. And the sooner we get it out to the board, I feel the faster the process will move along.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with both of you. So, okay, good. I just want to see what direction I should take it in before I got jumping too high.
Yeah, at least present it and see what the questions or concerns are.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, now we'll go back up to the agenda for Jeff Haas to talk about cyber school.
Okay. I'll just give you a brief update on where we're at. Obviously, this has been discussed at a few meetings, I think, conceptually, that we need to look into it. We had a meeting in September. I think it was September 6th, around there, the first week of September, with BCIU that provides Berks Online Learning. They're essentially reselling and repackaging different cyber schools that are available, and then they're offering a turnkey solution. So they're doing a lot of the recruitment, parent meetings, things like that. So we thought that was a good place to start, since we don't currently have people in those positions to pick up those responsibilities. We'd at least see what they have to offer. Based on just preliminary estimates, the cost for those programs ranges, but on a per student basis, for a school year, we're looking between probably $5,000 and $7,000 per student, depending on a lot of the curriculum things that would need to be reviewed. Our tuition rate is around $8,500 a student for a full year for a regular ed student, so there's potential to save, depending on what you pick, you could save $2,000 to $3,000 per kid if they stay enrolled. So that was kind of the preliminary numbers that we got from them. It's very early on to kind of make any decisions, but our next steps are to contact some other local schools in the area. Brandywine has been managing a program for a few years. I have a few contacts there. Trying to get in touch with them just to ask questions about things they've run into, what works, what doesn't work. So we're still pretty early on in that research phase, but those are just some preliminary numbers to see if it's worth pursuing. I think we administratively feel we have to at least pursue the research end and see what conclusions we have.
Now, from my understanding, Fleetwood, and you might have said this a minute ago, but Fleetwood is using Brandywine's model. Is that what they're...
Fleetwood is paying the person that manages Brandywine's program as a consultant to train up one of their teachers who will act in a similar role. So they're paying a fee to Brandywine essentially for training and tutorial.
Do you know what the fee is by any chance?
I think the newspaper article said $900 per student, up to 10 students, so $9,000 potentially paying to Brandywine. The difference there is they have a person already identified, I think a former teacher or a part-time teacher that would pick up those responsibilities of managing the day-to-day aspects of the program. So that seems to be the common model for those that go it alone and don't go through a Berks IU. They tend to have an administrator either existing or create positions to manage the programs. Because you're still, as a district, responsible for the education of the student. They still have to enroll them. They still have to manage all the paperwork and accounting that goes with that.
I want to make sure I understand this properly. How we would save money. Currently, how it works, if a student wants to attend this is cyber charter school we're talking about?
It's a charter school, which they all tend to be cyber here.
Okay. So if a student wants to attend a cyber charter school, they currently go out of Daniel Boone and they take with them their state funding, correct?
Not just the state funding. They take with them the tuition rate that the state establishes.
Okay.
So we only...
The goal of this is to keep it in district.
I think there's multiple goals, one of them being more educational in mind, but certainly the financial one, I think, is what spurs on some of the discussion.
How would this be more a higher quality education than what they're getting elsewhere?
I'm not suggesting that it would be. I'm saying sometimes that's the reason that people pursue it. They use it to offer courses that they can't afford to offer in-house.
Okay.
Some districts take that approach. I'm not suggesting, we haven't even gotten to the point of targeting the who, would really be the best candidate. The most
do you know how many of our students currently are enrolled in a cyber charter school that this could help bring some of those students back into the district?
Dr. Otto was going to pursue an updated number. The last number that I had heard was in the neighborhood of 80 students.
Okay.
So, I shouldn't say obviously, but I think it's unlikely that you're going to get all 80 students to return. But the IU has claimed that they've gotten, substantial numbers of students to return through their program because it offers, you can get a Daniel Boone diploma, and they went through a whole host of, reasons that people tend to come back. They may want to participate in sports. So if it's a Daniel Boone, offering, that potential is there.
Okay.
And at one time, was there an issue with military and cyber school?
Yes, yeah, there is.
They lock it at a certain percentage of recruits that they'll take. Say they take 100 recruits, they'll lock it at, just say, 20%, and they won't take any more than 20% of the recruits that have a cyber charter.
And I've also heard that depending on, I guess, the cyber school, they make the kids get a GED to ensure that it meets their standards. And I don't know what the threshold or what the rules are for that, but that was, again, one of the pieces that the IU represented has been an issue for cyber kids.
Yeah, there was actually an article link, I think I can find that stated that someone from the district sent in to us that stated what the what the military was doing, what some, just like Mr. House said, that they make them go back and get a GED. They did prevent them from being deployed in mass. So they locked them at like a 20% or whatever the percentage was, so they wouldn't accept any more than that.
So, any other questions? I know it's a relatively brief update. We're just pretty early on in the process, and I haven't been able to get in contact with the person at Brandywine. I think everybody's kind of in the still start of school mode, but I think within a few weeks we'll have that connection and gather more information. Dr. Otto is also going to check with another school in the area, and a few of us administratively that have contacts elsewhere. We're going to start asking around for more information.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea that we investigate it and we look at all our options. So I think we should continue looking into it. The more information we have at our disposal, the better decision we can make. That's just my opinion.
No, I think that's what we all agree. That's what we're doing. Again, the attraction to the IU program is that it's a turnkey program, where most of the others are not. We would have to, change some procedures and train a few people, probably in the high school level or secondary level. But I think they're handling a lot of the administrative work on our behalf, and they're doing that for several schools in the county.
And do they have an additional cost to what we currently?
I'm sure it's embedded in their fees. Yeah, I mean they're incurring work, so they're going to try and recoup that. I mean, they're not for profit. Their goal isn't to profit from the service, but to provide it to districts that don't have it.
Well, you're saying the BCIU currently has this turnkey program for other schools?
Yeah, it's called Burke's Online Learning.
Okay, but we don't currently pay for that in the breakdown of how BCIU.
No, they have fee for service. Districts pay very little of their budget. Most of their stuff is either fee for service or funded through state and federal programs.
Okay. Have they talked anything about this, Connor? Because you're the BCIU representative. Have they talked much about their cyber school program?
At the beginning of each meeting, they highlight a component of what BCIU provides to districts in Berks County. And not recently, they haven't given a presentation. Maybe earlier in the year, perhaps just maybe before I joined the board, or maybe a month or two after I joined, but not recently. Nothing. They haven't spoken of it.
So during their budget stages, they didn't have like a breakdown of what schools were paying, or did they? And
I could probably get that information, but that was not provided to us.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they have about 200 students countywide enrolled. I know some of the schools were Schuylkill Valley, Ole Valley. I think there were 5 or 6. They did some work at Reading with their alternative ed. I believe they're at Twin Valley also. I think they had all the valleys locked up. And there's probably a 5th one. So again, as we get further along with them, we'll reach out to those schools and get their feedback as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be curious to see how that works.
Yeah, and I think I think it ultimately will come down. Somebody with the curriculum background will look into it from a technology perspective. I could be ready next week. I just have to give them a computer, and that's really a purchase order we can turn quickly. So the technology end of it isn't really that complex. It's really the evaluating curriculum, deciding what courses are offered, what students you're going to target, if you're going to offer it to existing students or just trying to attract the cyber kids. So that's a lot of the pieces that need to be defined.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Any other questions, Mr. Kurtz?
Nope.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
No? Okay. Any questions from the audience? Okay. Let's go on to, I just had some questions. I was looking at how the alumni function with our current website. Are you familiar with, if you go on our website,
Yeah.
to the alumni,
Yep.
how did they set all that up with the
Well,
links and
right.
all of that? Like, how did that come about? Do you
A lot of this predates me, and since you're
figured
both
it
new as
might.
well, I'm guessing it may predate you, unless you were in the audience at the time. But my understanding was, or currently, the district does not maintain the alumni information.
Right.
The sites that are on there were sites that were posted as, I guess, common or popular links at the time, which is now probably a few years back, that people were using to find each other. It's not something maintained by the district or any one person, much like a Facebook or class reunion. People self-enroll on those alumni sites. So we, at the time, again, predating me, I think the decision was that they were abandoning efforts to track alumni because, again, you come down to the questions of who's going to do it, how are you going to do it. So I think that was abandoned at some point, and they posted these links that were already in existence and used by other classes. So we're really there as a matter of convenience. I'd be fine to take them down if it's not something we want on the website. I honestly I didn't see it until this came up.
Because I've been trying to figure out, how do we benefit from that if we don't? Get those names from, like, if our alumni sign up? Because the big issue came of people were manually putting in alumni names into a database, and if we're already currently getting their emails,
We're not getting anything
but
from
we don't
that.
get anything from this.
No, that's just a link, much like any other website that links to, a news article, for example, or an advertisement. They're just out there as convenience links. A lot of districts do that so that classmates, from 10 years ago when they look for Daniel Boone, they can go there. My personal opinion is Facebook's probably replaced all of those sites, at least for my demographic.
Wouldn't hurt to find out, send something to them and see if anybody ever responds.
Right, I was just
Because
curious.
whenever, even if they have an older database of collection of names, it'd be.
Well, I also, just in this discussion in my office, I think that task did happen a few years back. I think Mr. Seminara, I was hoping, would be here. I thought he participated heavily in that a few years ago.
He set it up, I thought, but
I think that a lot of that data was gathered, and then again, I don't think it really took off and was abandoned. I don't know what our rights would be to ask any website for a data list of all of their contacts. I don't know that they would do that.
Well, then if they're not, I guess I look at it as, if we're not benefiting anything from any of this, then why are we putting them on there? Why are we?
Right. Again, that decision.
I mean, like, they're even selling, blazer wear,
right.
Blazer apparel. Like,
that's how they're benefiting from it.
Right. They're getting our.
If somebody's purchasing it, which is a big if.
It could be a big if, but I was just
Sure.
curious, like, how do we find out what they're actually getting from us?
You could ask them, but to me, that's just the same as asking a Facebook, why do they put ads next to my profile? Or they're not really, they don't have to answer us. They're just a public website.
Without maybe, Frank already did this, because these organizations probably would be supportive of coming up with some type of, master list for the school, but to the extent that they're active anymore,
right?
You don't know.
Yeah, I was just curious, like, if we're not benefiting from them, then I just felt like, why are they there? And I just want to get some feedback. I
went to Exeter. I actually graduated from Exeter, and probably about 3 years now, I had somebody told me who they were, this agency, okay, and they were trying to collect information, on creating a database, a book, a directory of alumni. And it didn't cost you to be posted. It just, I don't remember how much it was. I have a little book with all from, like, I don't know, like 1960 whatever, all the way through, the year it was current, maybe 2009 or 10, of everyone they had. And, I was looking through that, and it's like, what? If you find out who that outfit is, and they actually are doing the work, and they're trying to sell that, say, hey, what if we offer you something to get all those names? Because they're already doing somebody's making those phone calls, and they're putting that together for profit. But,
Yeah, I think some of the foundations actually do that, around the county, that the foundations contract out for those services, and their goal is to gather your information and then also sell you a book, and that's the revenue source for them.
right. It's similar to not Mr. New, the other gentleman that came down from State College. That was
Potter? I think his name was
Potter or Potts.
Potter, Potts.
Yeah,
someone.
something. Yeah, that was really what his specialty seemed to be.
right.
After the foundation was up and running, try to create that database.
Right. And so, I was just trying to figure out if we could get all the information they got, can they give it to us? And
Well,
if not, then what?
You're missing with Frank missing it. If that truly has already happened,
Right.
you we have already had that.
Okay.
Right, that's my guess. Is that I don't know what year that occurred or when it stopped. My guess is a lot of that work was already done. I'd be surprised if those companies would hand over their data because that's their business. It'd be friendly of them, but I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
But can't hurt to ask.
No, that's what.
Set Boone up on Facebook and have people like it, and next thing you know, then you have your own.
Right. Well,
You don't
we
do
do
it.
have
There is-
fake.
yeah, there
we
is a
do
page.
have that.
So,
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you looked at that, Connor?
At what?
The alumni information on the website?
Yeah, I have the page up right now.
That's
Yeah, not much is listed. It just seems, like Mr. Haas said, it's a convenience for anybody who wanted to sign up on one of these sites. I think I signed up for one of them, in fact, before I even graduated, and there's nothing helpful on any of them. They send you an email telling you to buy the blazer apparel and all that. There's really no benefit to the district in hosting it, in linking to it, other than it is a convenience thing.
okay. Well, maybe I'll ask Mr. Shermanero about maybe how this all got on there.
Yeah, I would think he'd
Maybe
be the
he
most
knows.
knowledgeable of at least of the four of us.
Okay. I was just curious. Let me see if I did that. I had Danielle Penza and Miss Goss do a printout. Did you get the activity fee collected so far? The Connor?
I just opened it up, yeah.
Okay. The biggest reason I wanted to kind of track this was mainly because of the budgeting issues we had last year with kind of figuring out where the activity fee was by the end of the year and all that. So I was just wanting to kind of track it to see that it is a revenue source for us. So I thought maybe if we kind of keep an eye on it and we would be able to predict maybe a little bit better if we're going to hit our goal on the budget or not, if we look at it more frequently. And I was also, I just put together, and I know I didn't do it the way the most efficient way. I just took it and divided by a certain amount of number to get those, the 252. Did you see my emails on how I just came up with these? Danielle sent me all of this, and then I put the students participating.
Right.
And I broke that down just to see how many were participating in each sport, just to kind of get an idea. And
Now, I'm looking at that, and it doesn't seem to make much sense that only 2 people are participating in middle school football. 3 girls are participating in middle school soccer.
Field hockey is going on right now, and
I know that's
it
why.
doesn't.
So Danielle thought I had. What I did was just take that figure and divide it by the activity fee, and that's what I came up with, 2 people. So then I got a hold of her, we emailed again, and it looks like the activity fee for middle school, it's middle school September 11th was the last date. And what's the date now? So they might not...
19th.
Well, for
So
the
they-
fall activities, I think the deadline was, what was the deadline? The 27th, I think, of August.
Well, this says payment for fall sports is due on August 29th for the Daniel Boone High School or September 11th for the Daniel Boone Middle School. So being that, the high school should have all paid by now. So when I look at all the high school figures, I was thinking, is that an accurate, do those figures look accurate for each team?
Well, what you won't see is if there's any students that participate on the free and reduced lunch, and they would get their, I think they waived that.
Yeah, that's what Danielle, Mrs. Penza, emailed me back and told me how many people had that, but there were so few.
Mm-hmm.
Like the difference that her and I had, if you look at the second page, I also did the student participating number for August.
Oh, that's what I was looking at. Sorry, I didn't even see the first page.
Yeah, the first page. So the number is so minute that it was only like one or two had the $30. So even though this isn't terribly accurate, it's pretty close. So it's not. So when I was looking at that, I'm like, does band really just have 53 people in it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you know if they had?
It's about
53?
half of what it was 2 years ago. That's about right.
So then, and I
But that
went
may
through.
not include the color guard.
Okay.
Band is music. Color guard's a little bit different. So they're.
But shouldn't they have already paid the activities fee?
Mm-hmm. Yes. My
So-
daughter did.
Yeah.
I should say my daughter did. I did for my daughter.
Yes, I did for my.
Clarify that.
So I just, I'm just looking at how, just the numbers, are we on target for our activities fees? And we know next time around this number will be less because most of these people are paying less as the year goes on because they cap out at $500 for per family.
Do you know what the amount we budgeted was?
Ooh, good question, Connor. I did not write that down. Do you know, by any chance?
I think we have.
Mr. Wolf?
I think I still have my budget.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, budget page here. All right, here we are. Just have to find it.
And this is the first time they've done this. So if you have any suggestions on how to make this report more user-friendly for us, that would be fine. They put this together just because I asked for it. I wanted to track the ticket sales this year and see what ticket sales, because I've actually had parents coming to me who are telling me they're paying for soccer, volleyball. But does Daniel Boone charge for soccer, do you know? Or volleyball? Because other schools are charging for soccer, volleyball.
For the gate fee?
The gate fees.
Yeah, I don't know.
So that was the other thing I wasn't sure. I need to talk to Mrs. Goss about.
Yeah, I have a question about, I'm not sure if Mr. Haas knows, I don't even know if Dr. Otto knows, this might be a middle school, a high school thing, but I checked out the high school announcements today, and there was a little blurb that said, let me find it here. Second. Okay. The varsity club is selling student access cards through next week for $50. These cards, in addition to a photo ID, will gain the student access to all home, regular season sporting events for the rest of the year. For more information or to get an order form, see Mrs. Menser in room 226. I'm not sure, was this approved by the administration? Because if a student can get a $50 pass to get to all sporting events in the district for a year, will that affect our ticket sales in any substantial way? Because that's a revenue source for the district.
What form do they fill out? Do they say? Because I know on the website there used to be an activities form you filled out and you got a pass like that. But
I think that pass was only good for 10. Was it? Maybe I'm wrong. But wasn't that pass only good for for 10 events, you had to get it. You were supposed to get it stamped or something, but we realized that wasn't happening.
Right, exactly. It was only for like 10.
And this one is for unlimited.
Unlimited?
And for $50, that could be a good deal. And that could really even some of our ticket sales.
Yeah,
I just want to know who made that decision. And from that $50, I'm assuming it's a fundraiser for the varsity club. How much money is the district getting?
That's a really good question. I know that form was in here because I had pulled it up last year and was questioning the form and how much we were giving out. Let me see if I can find the form.
I'm not sure. This might be a new one, too. I don't know.
I don't remember hearing about it.
And I just thought, I didn't even see this a few days ago, and sometimes I'll check the announcements for the different schools, and I saw that listed today.
Admission fees. Let's see if activity fee information. That could impact our sales a lot. I would think if they go to all the football games, all of the
basketball games,
basketball.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was never brought up to us because it looks like adult fees are $6 for admissions, $4 for children, $4 for seniors. They used to have a seniors.
Yeah, they had a senior pass, I think.
What did you say it was? It was $50?
Yeah, $50, and from that, I'm not sure what percent is even coming back to the district, because I'm sure it's a fundraiser for the varsity club.
Right.
Otherwise, why would they do it?
You were right. It says 10 events per card is how they had it structured for last year, and it was adults was $50 per card, and children were $30. We'll have to ask about that.
Yeah.
I don't know who made that decision. Did you hear about that card, other than it just popped up now?
Yeah,
Mike?
that was discussed.
When?
It was discussed a while ago that they were selling them.
Oh, that they were selling them. Mm-hmm. But was it brought up as? Did we have to approve it?
No, I don't think it was something that was brought up for approval. I remember it was mentioned, but I can't remember. I can't recall how it came up.
Okay. Well, someone must have approved it, so I don't know how it's going to affect the total budget.
Yeah, maybe it won't, but I just wanted to bring that to the committee's attention and figure out if we can get some feedback on that from Dr. Otto or Mrs. Goss, because I remember we were talking about that a while ago at length, ticket sales and how that could really impact our budget.
Yeah, it can a lot.
I had a note here. This was early on. This is an April budget that I had saved on my laptop. Ms. Penza put a note in here that $189,700 was budgeted for ticket sales, physicals, and activity fees. Of that, I had a note in here that approximately $36,000 was that was ticket sales. And what we did, we actually put a notation in the budget that day for a reduction in activity and physical fees of $21,000. So if you do the math, that's $168,000 minus the 36. For the ticket sales, that should be what your activity fees are approximately budgeted for.
Okay. I'm not sure what the math is off the top of my head, but I'm not sure if what we have now, what is it, 35,000? I'm not sure if that is a very good sign.
36,000 for ticket sales.
36,000 for ticket sales. Okay. What was the other one?
It was 189 total, 189.7, just round numbers. From that, we made a budget entry to reduce our revenues by $21,400.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and of the remaining, like I said, had approximately 36,000 in ticket sales. That was just a note that I put in here. That wasn't what Ms. Penny put in.
Mm-hmm.
So
That would leave 131,600 for activity fees and physical fees.
right. And again, this was just my note that I put in here, not, so that's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So out of that 131,000 approximately, we have 36,000
Right.
at this point. And the middle school, did you say this was before the middle school forms came in?
It states here that the middle school should have their dues are due on September 11th, so they should be in by now, but I don't think they've calculated them yet.
Okay. When was this data from that you emailed?
I got this last week.
Okay. And the club and activity fees, I'm sure they're not included in here. But I'm sure most of our revenue from the activity fee comes from athletic and band activity fees and not the club activity fees. That's just an assumption because it costs so much more to participate in an athletic event than it does to cost an athletic activity than it costs to participate in an after-school club.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Actually, no, it does say here high school clubs. $550, but that's only 11 students.
Right.
I'm sure there'll be more coming in for that.
Yeah, there would definitely be more, and that's $50.
Yeah.
So.
But there's no information for last year. I remember we were asking for that. We never really could get it. Like this format that you have it in, I think is very helpful.
Well,
And
Mrs. Penza did this, and she said if there's anything we need to change, we can change it. And I'm just curious now to see how the ticket sales go for the football and other sports that we have. I need to find out exactly if we charge for soccer, which I don't think we do at our school. But I know other schools are charging for soccer and volleyball.
yeah, it's a good question. I don't know, and I think that's something we should know.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. But if you have any questions about the format, or if you have comments, or about the format, just email them to me. And if there's more information, and what popped in my head earlier today with ticket sales and trying to get, if we start looking like we're not getting a lot of ticket sales, my thought was going to see if I know when I talked to the nursing home in Douglasville, they were extremely interested in having activities for their residents, and they were willing to bus residents to activities.
Oh, all right.
So, and you might be able to sell them a couple I don't know how many passes they might want to buy, and have their residents start coming to some of our afternoon games, especially middle school, because actually they were looking at middle school and they want indoor activities. So I was trying to think, well, another way that we might be able to make some ticket sales is to start getting more community involvement rather than just relying on, grandparents and parents.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We have these new, not just, there are a lot of retirement and assisted living facilities really opening up in the Amity Township area, and if we can get those residents involved, that's great for them. It's great for the district too. So I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, so that was one reason why I was tracking some of the ticket sales, because I was trying to think of ways to increase ticket sales, because that is a big part of our budget. If we've already had to reduce it by $21,000 in revenue, I would hope that maybe we could earn something back later on this year, because I think we're going to need it.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of why I'm tracking all this, just to kind of see how things are working.
And are you going to be able to provide us with updates to this information as the year goes on?
I hope to get one every time we have a Revenue Enhancement Committee meeting, that we get this report.
All right, very good.
Because I'd like to track it, but I also, with reorganization coming in December, I don't know if the next person's going to want to track this or not. So,
yeah.
But I actually find this to be helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
So, have any other questions about these forms, or if you have comments, you can email me if they don't work. Activities fees. And the future dates, I think that's where we are. October 17th, 2012. I'm going to put down here 7 p.m. again. And November, I'm not sure of because of the holiday and how the policy review is going to be done either. So I was waiting on November's, but that was it.
All right, before we adjourn, I have a question. I'm not sure if Mr. Haas will be able to answer it about the Education Foundation, because it was really the Revenue Enhancement Committee that spearheaded all that. Do we have any updates on how that's going? When we're going to start collecting, when that's going to start turning a profit for us, I guess, or when it's going to start paying back some of the loan that we issued them?
I don't have any information on that. You'd have to ask Dr. Otto.
Okay. All right. Mrs. Hamill, do you have any information on that?
I have not been updated. Another board member is the representative of that foundation. So.
Is Mr. McLaughlin the representative?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and I have not contacted him and asked him about the foundation. I was going to ask Dr. Otto next time. Well, I think he's gone for this week, right?
Yeah.
For this week, yeah.
For this week,
Monday.
so we can talk to him. I know they had a meeting last week. I do know that.
Yeah, he included that in the board update.
Right.
But I want to know kind of what's going on. We hear that they're having these organizational meetings, but what's getting done?
Right. Well, that's hopefully when Mr. McLaughlin is able to attend, that we'll get some more.
Yeah, maybe Monday night he can give us an update.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ms. Hamill, I have a question.
Yes.
Would either you or Connor have an objection starting earlier than 7?
I have no objection.
Because
no.
Instead of keeping Jeff here a few hours after work or Dr. Otto, and we just have one reporter out there. Maybe if we can get started at 6.
6?
Like we're doing the the facilities meeting. That way we're not keeping Ken late. We're not.
Okay.
Just a suggestion, throwing it out there.
I know I would have appreciated that. I think most people would.
Okay.
If it works for you guys.
It's not a problem.
I can do it if Frank can swing
I was
it and
trying to get it
Connor
to where-
doesn't interfere with Connor's schedule.
Yeah.
So it's up.
Well, what's the consensus? We're going to move the time forward?
Right. We'll try 6 o'clock and see if
Okay.
that works better. And I
Okay.
was thinking last time Frank had a hard time with 6, so then I moved it to 7, and so maybe it doesn't matter. So, but yeah, we'll try 6 o'clock.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, and that's October 17th at October 17th,
And that's here.
All right.
and it's here. Yes. Any other questions? Anything? Okay, meeting is adjourned at 7:55.